Good evening and welcome to the Mega News. Our 6 news coming to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Great Estate, Nungwa, Adogono. And we're streaming live on all our social media handles on MBN 360. First, take a look at the headlines. Speaker Bagwin refers to ministerial nominees and 3 Supreme Court nominees to appointment committee. In business, Ghana rejects easy loans as government tightens borrowing rules. On the foreign front, China condemns new U.S. sanctions on Iran and trading partners. And tonight we'll bring you the major stories making headlines across Ghana and beyond, from politics and governance to business, security, health, sports, and the international scene. Gold Board is again in the spotlight as Parliament moves to probe concerns surrounding the agency's reported losses whilst new measures to stop the export of unverified artisanal gold takes effect from September 1st. Also tonight, the National Security warns of early recruitment into violent groups ahead of the 2028 election amidst renewed concerns over political vigilante. Government comments a technical fault has temporarily taken Ghana's online passport application portals online. There's and many more stories coming up. Details after the break. In our first story, the Speaker of Parliament, Agwen Sumana Kingsford Bagwin, has referred to 2 ministers and nominees and 3 nominees for appointment to the Supreme Court to Parliament's Appointment Committee for vetting and consideration. The 2 ministerial nominees are Dr. Zenato Ajiman Rawlings, nominated as Minister Designate for Environment, Science and Technology, and Mahama Ayariga, nominated as Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. The 3 Supreme Court nominees are Justice Sophia Benasco Essam, Justice Edward Amwako Asante, and former Ghana Bar Association President Anthony Forson Jr. Speaker Bagwin made the referrals during Parliament's emergency sitting on Monday following the President's communications on the nominations. The Appointment Committee is expected to scrutinize the nominees' qualifications, competence, and suitability before submitting its report to the full House for consideration. The process is being conducted within Parliament's special 1-week sitting, which runs from August 24 to August 28. The Supreme Court nominations are intended to fill existing vacancies on the country's highest court and are subject to parliamentary approval under the Constitution. The vetting of the 5 nominees is therefore expected to be a key part of Parliament's urgent business this week.
In furtherance of the constitutional process prescribed under Article 144, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution, I subsequently consulted the Council of State by submitting to the Council the names and curricula vitae of the nominees for its consideration. By a letter dated 20th August 2026, the Council of State informed me that having duly considered the nominations, it found the nominees qualified and suitable to serve as justices of the Supreme Court and accordingly recommended their appointment. Accordingly, and pursuant to Article 144, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution, I hereby submit the nominations of Justice Sophia Rosetta Oduokwa Benasco Esa Mrs., Justice Edward Amwako Asante, and Mr. Anthony Forson Jr. to Parliament for its consideration and approval for appointment as justices of the Supreme Court of Ghana. I trust that Parliament will give due consideration to these nominations in accordance with its constitutional mandate to enable the process of appointment to be concluded in due course. Please accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Signed, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, I accordingly refer these nominees to the Appointments Committee for consideration and report to the House within the period prescribed by the notice of recall.
Away from the floor of Parliament, now we go to the President. John Dramani Mahama is expected to cut the sword on Thursday, August 27, for a new multi-purpose car park and airport hotel complex at the Accra International Airport. The development is designed to expand facilities at Ghana's main international aviation hub as passengers, traffic, and demand for airport services continue to grow. The project will feature a 7-story car park with more than 2,000 parking bays, alongside 2 hotels and a pedestrian connection linking the complex to the terminal building. Plans also include a shopping mall with a food court, retail outlet, and offices space for rent, as well as the Sky Lounge and observation desk overlooking aircraft operation. The development follows the relocation of existing Terminal 3 car park to make way for construction. A temporary annex with capacity for more than 600 vehicles has been provided to maintain parking services during the transition. The Ghana Airport Company Limited says the project is expected to take about 24 months to complete. The development is being presented as part of a wider effort to modernize the airport, improve passenger convenience, and strengthen its role as a regional aviation and commercial hub. Now, moving away from the sword cutting by the President on Thursday, the Ghana National Security Coordinator, COP Osman Abdul Razak, says some political vigilante groups are rebranding and shifting their mobilizations to social media and encrypted communication platforms in an attempt to operate less visible. The National Security Coordinator says the reduced visibility of organized vigilante groups should not be mistaken for their complete disappearance. Speaking at a national policy dialogue on vigilantism in Accra, COP Osman Abdul Razak said some groups are now presenting themselves as internal security teams, volunteer task forces, and community security initiatives. He said others have dissolved into looser networks that are more difficult for security agencies to track, with mobilization increasingly taking place through social media and scripted chats, local disputes, and informal security arrangement. COP Abdulrazak stressed that vigilante group remains a vigilante group regardless of its name, uniform, or level of publicity. Ghana's Vigilante and Related Offences Act 2019, Act 999, was introduced to disband political vigilante groups and criminalize their formation, organization, recruitment, training, and funding and support. However, the National Security Coordinator acknowledged that enforcement gaps remain, including limited prosecutions and delays in legal processes. He has called for stronger intelligence gathering and early intervention, particularly ahead of elections, saying security agencies must identify potential threats well before political campaigns intensify. The warning comes amidst renewed concerns about unauthorized security groups and political vigilantes, with the Interior Minister also directing the police to intensify efforts to dismantle such groups.
However, we must not mistake reduced visibility of these groups as complete eradication. A vigilante group is a vigilante group, regardless of its name, uniform, or publicity. We are very much aware that 1. Some groups are rebranding as internal security teams, volunteer task forces, or community security initiatives. 2. Others have dissolved into looser and less visible networks that are more complex to track. But if our ability to track people on social media is anything to go by, a word to a wise is enough. Again, mobilization has moved online on social media, encrypted chats, local disputes, private security arrangements, or other informal channels.
Away from the security matters, back to the floor of Parliament, where Parliament is set to investigate a reported 1.7 billion US dollars, about 22 billion Ghana cedis loss linked to the domestic gold purchase program after Speaker Agban Sumana Kingsford Bagwe admitted a minority motion seeking an inquiry into the matter. The controversy centers on whether reported loss should be attributed to Gold Board or regarded as a policy cost incurred in implementing the domestic gold purchase program. Speaker Agban Sumana Kingsford Bagwin says Parliament scrutiny will help bring clarity to the disputed figure and determine whether it represents an actual financial loss or the cost of implementing the program. The minority leader, Alex Anafenyo Markin, has been demanding answers about the transaction, pricing arrangement, and the role of Gold Board in the program. The minority has also called for the Gold Board Chief Executive, Sami Jamfi, to explain the transactions surrounding the reported losses. But the issue has become more complicated with competing claims over where the financial loss was actually recorded. The International Monetary Fund has reported that the scaling up of the domestic gold purchase program resulted in the losses of about 1.7 billion US dollars in 2025, equivalent to around 1.5% of Ghana's GDP. Civil society group PAGA is also demanding full disclosure of the transaction, including the identities of gold off-takers, discounts applied to gold sales, fees and margins, and the extent to which foreign exchange movement contributed to the reported loss. The Parliament inquiry is therefore expected to examine not only the disputed 22 billion Ghana cedis figure, but also the transaction and the decisions that produced the reported financial outcome. The probe would provide Parliament and the public with a clearer picture of the financial risk and the benefit associated with Ghana's gold purchase strategy.
The motion they have filed, which was received in my office on the 21st of August, 2026, just 3 days ago. 3 days ago that it got to my office. I have gone through the motion myself, and I intend to admit the motion because we have to at least have an end to litigation. As to whether it's a loss or it's a cost, this House will have the opportunity to go through it. And please, Ghanaians are very intelligent people. They will listen, they will read in between the lines, and they will make their decisions.
Now, away from the floor of Parliament, moving on, government has introduced the National Workplace Compliance and Safety Management System, a new digital framework designed to modernize workplace inspection, strengthen compliance, and improve occupational safety standards across Ghana. The system is expected to replace Ghana's large manual and fragmented workplace compliance processes with an integrated risk-based and data-driven approach. It will also support workplace registration, profiling and inspection planning, compliance monitoring, enforcement, reporting, and stakeholder engagement. The Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment says the system will enable the Department of Factories Inspectorate to identify high-risk workplaces, target inspection more effectively, whilst allowing authorities to follow up on corrective actions. Launching the initiative, Labour Minister Dr. Abdul Rashid Hassan Pepple said decent work, occupational safety and productivity are closely linked. He stressed that a productive economy cannot be built on unsafe workplaces and called for stronger collaboration between government, employers, and organized labor. The government says the reform is also intended to address long-standing challenges, including fragmented workplace data, limited access to timely compliance information, and weak coordination among institutions responsible for workplace safety. Officials, however, says the initiative is not simple an IT project. Its success will also depend on a stronger institutional capacity, adequate human resources, training, equipment, and changes in how workplace inspections are conducted. The system is expected to promote a stronger culture of prevention and accountability whilst ensuring that workplace across Ghana becomes safer, healthier, and more productive.
In the workplace, within the public sector and as well as in the private sector, HERS, as we know, stands for health, environment, safety and security, which are very critical at every workplace. And as they go into have a conference about it is bringing together all stakeholders that are concerned about the health of workers, the security of workers. And we particularly are very, very eager to see that this conference comes on and leaves behind a fundamental policy direction for us to adopt into the government's policy direction. So HERS as a partner is an organization we so much have trust in.
Now we end with a political story for the former New Patriotic Party National Chairman Paul Awentemi Afoko has formally filed his nomination to contest the party's national chairmanship election, promising to unite the party, rebuild its grassroots structure, and help return the NPP to power in 2028. Mr. Afoko submitted his completed nomination forms at the NPP headquarters in Accra on Tuesday. Addressing party executive delegates and supporters after the filing, he said his decision was driven by the need to restore confidence and unity within the party ahead of the 2028 general elections. His campaign is anchored on three objectives: reunite, reorganize, and recapture. Mr. Afoko called for an end to divisions created by previous internal contests, saying every member of the NPP should have a place in the parties regardless of which candidates they previously supported. He also pledged to strengthen the party's grassroots structures with particular attention to polling station executives, constituency organizations, women and young people. Mr. Afoko said the NPP's efforts to return to government must begin immediately rather than shortly before the 2028 elections. He further pledged to work with the party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if elected chairman. Mr. Afoko also rejected argument that the choice of a national chairman should be influenced by regional consideration, urging delegates to judge candidates on competence, integrity, experience, and temperament. His nomination formally puts him in the race as NPP prepares to elect new national officers ahead of its campaign to regain power in 2028.
We have to reorganize and strengthen the party at the foundation, which is the constituencies, the polling stations, because that is where power lies. And then we will recapture power, and we will stay in power, and we will not only break the 8, we will break the 12. Relations have been tested. Groups have been formed. Labels have been attached to good people simply because they supported one candidate or another. That was end. They cannot be one MPP for those who supported candidate A and another MPP for those who supported candidate B. There cannot be an MPP of the powerful and another MPP for the forgotten grassroots. There is only one MPP. And every pension must have a place in it. If you elect me as chairman of the party, I will come into office with no enemies. Nobody that I want to punish. There's nobody that I want to punish. I have put God to settle, and there's no mercy to the world at the expense of another. I am coming to handle to allow yesterday.
And those are the major stories coming up. We'll bring you the business and its updates. Standing by is now Dede Gogo right after the break.
Hello, are you building your dream home, office, and now project? You need the best stone to make it stand out. Se ebadan papa a yebesi a wudema abo fonkwa na wubehu. Ene na enwane Flower Stone Works. What I hanum say, you stone type will be to say Sakwa cotton stones, cotton shears, crumble cotton brown, sheer granite grey, clipped cotton stones, crumble cotton black, and a breaking shares. Flower Stone Works delivers a durability, beauty, and style. Na yet so your boss ewe ye jumum emani dimu ankasa. I mean, one stone at a time. Wobet me afre wa humachu for isu 0555 512 995. Me si susu beam 0555 512 995.
Flower Stone Works.
Beauty is money.
Welcome back from that break, and this is the Mega News at 6 p.m. right here on MBN TV. And this is the business news with me, Dede Gogo. In business, Ghana is tightening its approach to borrowing, with the government rejecting easing or commercially expensive loans as a seeks to protect recent gains in debt sustainability and avoid a return to debt distress.
The government says future borrowing must be guided by affordability, transparency, and the country's ability to repay. The approach forms part of broader efforts to prevent Ghana from returning to the debt pressures that triggered the country's recent restructuring program. Ghana has restructured a significant portion of its public debt and has introduced stronger fiscal rules aimed at keeping future borrowing under control. Under the new fiscal framework, Ghana is targeting a public debt to GDP ratio of 45% by 2034, alongside an annual primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP on a commitment basis. Economic analysts have consistently warned that the gains from debt restructuring could be reversed if government returns to excessive borrowing, particularly for projects that do not generate sufficient economic returns. The government is therefore expected to prioritize occasional financing and carefully assess the cost and terms of any new loans. The policy also comes as Ghana works to rebuild investor confidence, strengthen public finances, and maintain the progress made under its economic recovery program. For government, the message is clear. Borrowing must now support sustainable development without creating another debt burden for future generations.
As we are Zone Financing Corporation, Ghana will proceed with discipline. We will not borrow simply because financing is available. Every project must be economically justified, transparently procured, and capable of supporting growth, generating revenue, and reducing costs. Any road, railway, power plant, industrial enclave, or other infrastructure financed through this corporation must improve productivity, create jobs, increase export, and strengthens Ghana's ability to repay its obligation. We will diversify our financing sources, protect debt sustainability, and avoid a return to the conditions that led to the 2022 debt crisis.
All in business, Goldfields has reported an 18% decline in gold production at its Tarkwa mine in Ghana as the first half of 2026, as the company also faces uncertainty over renewal of its mine's license, which expire in April 2027.
Tarkwa remains one of Goldfields' most important operations, but its first half production performance fell amid operational challenges. The decline comes as Goldfields reported stronger overall results for the 6 months to June 2026, with group gold equivalent production rising by 12% to 1.267 million ounces. Tarkwa produced about 192,000 ounces during the period, accounting for roughly 15% of Goldfields' total group production. The company says it continues to engage the Ghanaian authorities over the renewal of the Tarkwa mining leases. Goldfields submitted an application for renewal in November 2025, but the company says it has yet to receive a formal response to its latest commercial proposal. The leases are due to expire in April 2027, making the renewal negotiations increasingly important for the company's long-term production outlook. Goldfields has warned that an unfavorable outcome could have a material impact on the company, while its chief executive, Mike Fraser, has indicated that the company may consider legal options if necessary. Despite the uncertainty surrounding Tarkwa, Goldfields reported an 81% increase in half-year profits, driven largely by higher gold prices and stronger overall production. The company has maintained its full-year production guidance of between 2.4 and 2.6 million ounces. For Ghana, the performance and future of Tarkwa remains significant given the mine's contribution to gold production, employment, government revenue, and economic activity in the western region.
That's all for today on the business segment. Up next is sports and entertainment with Wendy Lati.
Let me introduce you to Farm Global Company Limited. At Farm Global, we offer you a variety of groceries and provisions to choose from. Cosmetics, perfume, bedsheets, undies, boxes, you can mention all. This is our perfume stand, and we have variety of perfumes you can choose from for yourself and your loved ones. We cover Latapa, fragrance world, and quality perfumes that will last long on your body. On our cosmetic section, we have variety of lotions, creams, hair pomade that can keep you going. Let your feet do the talking and your hand do the showcasing. Your babies are not left out. We got you covered. At Farm Global, we make shopping a beautiful experience for you and your family. You can be at home, send your list, and get it delivered for free. Yes, for free. We know you can pay for it, but we want to show appreciation. We bring everything to you at your doorstep. Locate Farm Global on the Nungwabuade Road, just opposite Redeemer Chemist. Call us on 0592 0999 52 or 050 384 3633. Farm Global, fast, reliable, and convenient.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Mega News at 6 on MBN TV, and I'm Wendy Lati. Now, in the world of sports, Leeds United and Rangers co-owner Jed York
has been sentenced to 1 day in jail in the United States after pleading no contest to misdemeanor charges following a prostitution-related arrest in Ohio.
The nomination places the two artists amongst a competitive field of collaboration from some of Africa's biggest music acts. King Promise and Mr. Eazi's See What We've Done will compete against songs including Davido and Omah Lay's With You, Fola and Kiss Daniel's Lost, and Odumodu Black and Victoni's Pity the Boy. The recognition adds to King Promise's growing international profile and highlights the continued influence of Ghanaian. York, who is also the principal owner of NFL side San Francisco 49ers, was arrested on Sunday in East Palestine, Ohio, during a police operation involving Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking Task Force. He was initially accused of engaging in prostitution after allegedly responding to an online advertisement and arranging to pay $140 for sexual activity. The original prostitution charge was later amended to disorderly conduct, while York was also charged with the possession of criminal tools in connection with the phone used to respond to the advertisement. York pleaded no contest to both misdemeanor charges and was sentenced to 1 day in jail on each count. With the sentence running concurrently, he was given credit for time already served. He was also fined $1,150 and completed an online course as part of the resolution of the case. The NFL says it is aware of the matter and will review it under its personal conduct policy. The San Francisco 49ers say the legal matter has been resolved and declined to comment further, while Leeds United has declined to comment. York's investment in Leeds United comes through 49ers Enterprise, the investment arm of the San Francisco 49ers, which owns the English Premier League club.
In entertainment, Ghanaian Afrobeat star King Promise and Nigerian-Ghanaian musician Mr. Eazi have earned a nomination for Best Headlines Collaboration at the 18th Headies Awards for their song See What We've Done.
The nomination places the two artists amongst a competitive field of collaboration from some of Africa's biggest music acts. King Promise and Mr. Eazi's See What We've Done will compete against songs including Davido and Omah Lay's With You, Fola and Kiss Daniel's Lost, and Odumodu Black and Victoni's Pity the Boy. The recognition adds to King Promise's growing international profile and highlights the continued influence of Ghanaian artists in Africa's contemporary music scene. The 18th Headies themed Africa to the World is scheduled to take place in Toronto, Canada on October 25, 2026. King Promise is also nominated in the West African Artist category alongside fellow Ghanaian artists Black Sherif, Kiddy and Melon. For King Promise and Mr. Eazi, the nomination marks another international recognition for a collaboration that has connected Ghanaian and Nigerian musical talent. The question now is whether See What We've Done will beat the competition and take home the Headies Award.
That's all for today on sports and entertainment. Coming up is the foreign news.
Welcome back. So the mega news at 6 on MBN TV. We've taken you through the latest development in business, the biggest stories from the world of sports and what's making headlines in entertainment. Now we turn our attention beyond Ghana to the rest of the world, where major development continues to unfold. From international politics and diplomacy and conflict, now we set the stage on international news. Stay with us. China has condemned new United States sanctions targeting Iran and warned it will take necessary measures to protect its interests, and describing unilateral sanctions without United Nations approval as illegal. The latest dispute follows Washington's announcement of a new sanctions campaign aimed at tightening economic pressure on Iran and threatening countries and companies that continue to trade with Tehran. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned that foreign entities involved in activities such as sanction evasion or money laundering for Iran could face restriction from the U.S. financial system. The new measures target about 60 individuals, companies, and vessels linked to Iran. China, one of Iran's biggest trading partners and its major oil customer, has strongly rejected the U.S. approach. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian says Beijing opposes sanctions that lacks a basis in international law and have not been authorized by the UN Security Council. He warned that economic warfare and maximum pressure could escalate tensions, create wider risk, and disrupt the global financial and economic order. Beijing says it will take all necessary measures to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. Washington's pressure campaign is also placing China's trade with Iran under greater scrutiny, particularly of its purchase of Iranian oil. The United States has not yet imposed its strongest threat secondary sanction on Chinese financial institutions, but officials have warned that countries continuing significant economic ties with Iran could face consequences. China is calling instead for a return to dialogue and negotiation, warning that increased economic pressures will not provide a lasting solution to the crisis.
We want to make clear here today that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions, that if they facilitate transactions and are part of the ecosystem that turns Iranian oil into money, into repression, they will be targeted.
Away from the US and the Middle East issues, we move straight to Africa, where the President John Dramani Mahama of Ghana has called for a stronger and more responsive health system across Africa, saying trust, patient safety, and public confidence must be at the center of efforts to achieve universal health care. President John Dramani Mahama says Africans cannot achieve meaningful progress in health care without building systems that people can trust. He's calling for stronger regulation, greater accountability, and a closer collaboration among government, health professionals, and other stakeholders. The president says safeguarding patient, restoring public confidence must remain central to Africa's health agenda. The call comes as health systems across the continent continue to face challenges including limited resources, unequal access to health care, and concerns over the quality and safety of services. The World Health Organization says about 1 in every 10 patients globally is harmed whilst receiving health care, with unsafe care contributing to more than 3 million deaths annually. The WHO also stressed that communities must be placed at the center of health and well-being, with trust and meaningful community engagement forming an important part of quality person-centered care. President Mahama is therefore urging African countries to strengthen their health institutions and create systems that are not only accessible but also safe and accountable, worthy of public confidence. He says building trust in healthcare is essential if Africa is to achieve universal health coverage and improve health outcomes for its people.
Regulation cannot remain static. It must be responsive. It must be firm, it must be fair, it must be protective and enabling, and it must be grounded in our African reality. But it must be informed by global knowledge. Responsive regulation is not simply about regulating more, It is about regulating better.
And that brings us to the very end of this evening edition of the Mega News at 6 on MBN TV. We've brought you all the major stories making headlines across Ghana and beyond, from politics and business to sports, entertainment, and international affairs. Now we take a second look at the stories making headlines and take a leave of you. Speaker Bagwin refers to ministerial nominees and 3 Supreme Court nominees to appointment committee. In business, Ghana rejects easy loans as government tightens borrowing rules. On the foreign front, China condemns new U.S. sanctions on Iran and trading partners. Thank you for staying with us and trusting MBN TV for your news and information. I am El Samuel's Business. News was brought to you by Nadede Gogo, Sports Entertainment with Wendy Nadu Latte. On behalf of the entire news team, thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay engaged, and have a safe and a peaceful evening. MBN TV, your news, your voice, and your world. Good evening.